everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. It is Friday, July 19, 2024. I wanted to come here and do a follow-up video regarding the Mica Miller case. It's a very sad news that I think it's been already a couple months since we heard of her passing and all the circumstances that happened. I know after I made that video regarding her, there's a lot of information that came about, specifically about the husband, the pastor. It's still to this day, I haven't really followed fully this story, but it still surprises me the way he was able to basically go on along with the church programming and go on the stage and continue on with service like 2 days or something like that after she was found deceased. Okay, and you guys know, if you guys follow the Mica Miller case, you know exactly how she was found, what happened, the surveillance video where she went to buy the gun and all of that stuff. So I mean, it was just crazy, surreal almost, to see how he was able to basically put himself together and just go to do the Sunday service basically, and allowed to do that, even though in the church you expect pastors, elders, there's an executive team. The church has been established, and for people to to kind of make decisions, right? So that was one of the things that really surprised me back then when I first heard about this case. But today there is a he's talking to the press, I guess, now, and it says here, Mica Miller's the pastor husband says he actually tried to resurrect her in the morgue. He said, if Jesus did it, I had to try it too. This is what he's saying now, that when let me read to you this article briefly. The South Carolina pastor whose wife I don't want to give you detail by detail, but we all know what happened to her. She was found deceased by her own hands. And it says here, the South Carolina pastor and said that she did that days after filing for divorce. He said that he went to the morgue to resurrect her in a desperate act, he claims, and he was inspired by Jesus. This is quote unquote what Pastor John Paul Miller said. He says, there is a few. He said, yeah, I tried raising her from the dead because you know what? If he had worked, we had a whole different story right now. John Paul Miller said this to a news station. He said, God forbid me not to try it, and I always wonder the rest of my life if it would have worked. Jesus did it, Elisha did it, and he said I had to try it too. He says here, there was a few other people in the Bible, Miller said. So yes, if somebody I love more than anything in the world has passed away, why I believe to be an early death, you better believe I'm going to try it. In Jesus' name, raise her from the death. This is what he's saying in a recent interview. He says here, Mica Miller, she was just 30 years old, and she was found deceased with an self-inflicted gunshot in North Carolina Lumber River State Park on April 27, and she was reportedly crying several minutes before it happened. This whole case, there's so many things about this case, guys. How even they met each other. It was just the details that came after that. And he's saying right now, if you love somebody and they have an early passing, of course, I'm gonna do everything that I can to do, to try to bring them back to life, basically to resurrect them. But Mica was her crying moments before, and weeks before, from what I remember now from this whole investigation, is that she had to call the cops on him, and she actually had moved out, and I know they filed for divorce and all of that, but it's wow, he really said that he loves her. But a lot of people want to pretend and say that, and then they make somebody else's life miserable. okay, verbal abuse, physical abuse, harassments, manipulation, even witchcraft. And it's so crazy how these days people think they're just gonna go on, right? And like God is not gonna expose them. Pastor or not pastor, God is gonna expose it. God is, there's so many cases since the beginning of the year that have come out about people who are in pulpits living a double life, basically living a double life. So it says here, although Mica's death was ruled, by, it was basically herself who did it. I don't want to say the word exactly here. The Robertson County medical examiner, that's what they ruled, that she did it, says that her family has since pleaded for cops to deeply investigate her demise, admit allegations her John Paul Miller had abused her. And there's a lot of evidence too, from what I hear about this case regarding him. And there's police reports and things like that. And I think something had happened to her car. Also, some people, they become obsessed, and they become obsessed to the point, like, it could have been, envy, manipulation. Like I said, once it's like it already has grew in somebody's heart, they can do anything. It's insane. People, like, they can go to church and pretend all they want, but once they have that already, like, springing within themselves, it could really, like, make them do horrible things if they don't seek the Lord to kind of like remove those. And I'm speaking about him, obviously, to, if they don't seek the Lord to like step away and say, this is not good behavior for me as a pastor, right? Or like self-examine yourself, have some type of self-awareness. If you don't have that type of relationship with Jesus Christ, like, the devil is going to use that opening and he's just going to take it to the extreme, right? The devil has no mercy on nobody, right? He is a roaring lion looking who he can devour, and he will take it and he will put thoughts in you, and and push people. Like, why will a person who perhaps they're separating, all of that, what would you do and vandalize their car? What would you be stalking them, following them everywhere they go, doing evil things, saying evil things, even though you knew? That's what he said to the congregation, that she dealt with depression. Why would you add more to that mentally? If you want to say to people, oh yeah, she did it because she, you guys all know that she dealt with depression. Well, why would you add more and more to that, knowing that she struggled with that? It's like, it's so many things that we need to always be self-analyzing ourselves, especially if you call yourself a Christian, you believe that you have the Holy Spirit within you. Like, come on. We're living in crazy time, guys. I know today was the cyber attack, and it tells you how vulnerable we are. Just one update can pretty much paralyze the whole world, right? It says here, Mica had contacted police a handful of times and made several allegations against her husband in the lead up to her death. He accused her of slashing her tires, installing a tracking device on her car. So she accused him of slashing the tires, that's what I said, vandalizing the car, installing a tracking device on her car, hospitalizing her against her will, and grooming her when she was just 10 years old and he was an adult. This is the thing that I tell you guys all the time. You need to know who you leave your kids with, and you need to hear people out. If they, if you have a young child, and I do apologize if you might hear some noises. I'm here. I do have the window open. So if you need to know like what people are saying to you, right? If you have a young child that perhaps is like, and you have adult friends and they start beginning to comment about what they're gonna look like when they get older, like your kids, or like their body shape and things like that, it's completely unacceptable, and there's no need to have this type of conversations, right, about your children. And she accused him of grooming her since she was just 10 years old while he was an adult. And it's almost like everything that begins like that, it will never end well, right? And they were I think he actually was the pastor who married her with her first husband, who did the wedding ceremony. That's what I'm trying to say. It was just, all the details that came out was just crazy. I do remember now in the beginning when I first made the video about her, I remember saying, because people were protesting outside of the church. They still do, right? I was saying if some of her friends were already speaking about it, I was just saying like they should wait for a moment, because she just died, and they, like now they're coming up and revealing so much information. I knew what was the point behind all of that, because they wanted to know, hey, she might have done it herself, but he basically pushed her to the extreme, and this is the reason, and this is what she's mentioned, and these are the things that she commented to us. I just thought that it was a little too premature, meaning that we just learned about her passing. So I think now, even though it's already been like 2 months, like, there's videos of her purchasing the gun and all of that, and some people were saying she was being followed. I hope they continue the investigation, to be honest. The way he was, and I know everybody has a different reaction when something tragic happens to them, but he was a little nonchalant when he came to the church, kind of like that weekend, and informing the congregation what happened. Like, somebody else could have done that for him. Somebody else could have taken over that service, that Sunday service for him that day. And it was just so surreal to see that, like, on video, right? The video that came out from that day. Oh, I just lost one of my lights here, but it says here, Miller, the John Paul Miller, has denied any allegations of grooming and abuse, and points out that he was hundreds of miles away on the day she did that. That she took her life. On the interview, John Paul Miller acknowledged that he had written an apology letter to Mica, apologizing for many of the things she accused him of, but instead he did that to placate his wife into taking her meds. I did it because the night that she was with me, the last night we were together, we were together for 4 hours, and at one point, because the whole 4 hours I'm trying to get her to take her medication. That's why he did the letter now, he's saying. And she's saying, I'll take my medicine and I'll come home if you give me $10,000, and I'll write me an apology letter. That's why I did it. That's what he said. So it's just so sad. This whole case is so sad, guys. There's so many people dealing with so much. And you have to be aware. Go, like I always say to you guys, go beyond that. If somebody say, hey, how you been? Like, oh, I'm good. Like, if you really care for somebody, go beyond that quick exchange, and go ask about work and things like that, how's anything. You can ask about more than just how are you, and to keep it like that simple. That's the point that I'm saying. I think to see people still going out to that church and protesting outside, he should, they should really continue with the investigation. There's a lot of people that like to wash their hands, right? They want to call you every name in the book. They want to accuse you of so many evil things. They want to manipulate you, force you to do things you never wanted to do. And then they drive you to take crazy actions. That's what I'm saying. And they're like, well, I was just upset. It doesn't mean anything. And they want to walk away. Like, God sees all of that. Like, who are you fooling here? God sees all of that. God knows your heart. God knows your intention. So be careful with your words. The Bible speaks about the tongue, right? Don't be so quick to just basically hammer somebody down. Especially, like he says, she dealt with depression, but yet he was basically one of the persons, the people around her, that led her to that. And that's the other thing. Like, a lot of the times it's the people surrounding us that lead us to to depression and to like feeling bad about ourselves. It could be motivated by like so many things, right? Envy, jealousy, like it could be so many things. So that's the update that I have with for this case, for Mica Miller's case. We continue to see what's gonna happen. It's a very tragic story. You know, these are people who, you know, he was he's a pastor, she was the worship leader. These are people who basically their life was about sharing the gospel, singing in the church and all of that. And like, man, the enemy is attacking people of God, definitely, right? You can see that now more than ever. So let me know what you guys think about this, and if you have any new information, please leave a comment. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Have a good day. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. I'm here to invite you to my podcast, Julissadesigns, and it can be found on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can join me every day as I make episodes of the latest news, real life stories, and I also share my favorite Bible verse. Hope to see you then. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to know more about me, you can always visit www.julissadesigns.com. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.